Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to the very first lecture of CT111, Introduction to Communication Systems. Let us get going. Okay, so today is an introductory lecture. I'm going to cover some logistics of the course and some maybe non-technical topics today. Okay, so that is going to be the objective. We won't be covering too many of the subject topics today, but still I think today's lecture you should pay attention to because it is going to kind of set the tone for the rest of the semester. Okay, so this is the first time that you are going to come and work with me on this introduction to communication subject. So I thought I should tell you a bit about myself. My name is Yash. I did my bachelor's program in electronics and communication engineering from the college nearby, LD Engineering College. In those days when I did my engineering, LD was probably the only prominent college in and around Ahmedabad. There was no NIRMA, there was no DICT, there was no PDPU. In fact, all over Gujarat, there were only a handful of colleges. LD was one, DDIT was another one, MS University was the third one, BVM in Anand Vallabh Vidyanagar was the fourth one. So compared to that, you are actually lucky. You have a much bigger range of colleges to choose from, and I would say in terms of the facilities that are provided to you, in terms of the level of education, I think you are doing much better, I would say. Not to say that LD was not a good college. It was considered #1 college that time in Gujarat. And I'm happy with my 4 years that I did at LD Engineering College. But in terms of, for example, the library resources, the campus infrastructure, etc., this college is definitely much improved, which is expected given that a number of years has elapsed. In those days, electronics and communications was considered to be kind of #1 subject to be studying. And so I went on to do my postgraduate studies also in that same area. But in other universities, sometimes the degree that you get is electrical engineering, although your specialization is still in communications. So that is what I did. Then I was, for a number of years, I was with the industry, and I got some really valuable experience there, not only in terms of theoretical academics, but also in practical implementations. And then it was always my desire and it was my decision that I will return back to my motherland one day. So that happened in about 5 years ago. And since 2016, I am with DICT. I am actually, as you can say, I'm interested in communication systems and machine learning. And you will find, and that is what I hope to impress upon you before the end of the semester, that the communications, the topics that we will study here, and also the related topics, signal processing, digital signal processing, etc. They are inherently tied with the topic of artificial intelligence. And I'm interested in, for example, developing new algorithms and studying these algorithms mathematically, theoretically, by performing computer experiments, etc. And that is the area of research. Okay, so in terms of course mechanics, so you know that this is kind of a heavy course. It is carrying 4.5 credit hours. So the lecture component will give you 3 credits, and the labs will carry another 3 credits. Except the overall credit structure, this lab component gets divided by 2. So you get total of 4.5 credits. Okay, so the lecture venue is going to be online. You all are here, hopefully most of you. So you know how to join this lecture. We'll be meeting on Tuesdays at 12 and on Thursdays at 8:30. And there will be a lab session on Mondays at 2 p.m. Okay, so this is Introduction to Communication Systems, and so we should better be very clear about how we are going to communicate for the semester. And so, and I see that a lot of you have joined the Google Classroom, which will be our primary mode of interfacing. It's unlikely that you haven't joined. If you are here, then you probably have joined. But if you know of your friend, your classmate who is still not on board there, then please ask him or her to join Google Classroom, because that is the primary area of action away from the lecture sessions and the lab sessions. And yes, I would say feel free to use the home page of the classroom, where you can post comments and make, you can raise questions, and it's like any other social media platform. So be interactive over there. Do not feel constrained, or do not feel that you cannot ask some questions there, or do not feel hesitant to post comments and questions and concerns over there for the benefit of the rest of the class. And as much as possible, I will answer your questions or queries that you would post over there. And if needed, the TAs can also chip in. Okay. So these are the textbooks that we'll be using throughout the semester. By the way, the primary mode of conveying the instructions to you, especially because this is a completely online arrangement, is through this type of slides that I'll be presenting. And pretty much after each lecture, I will be posting the slides on the Google Classroom. And the syllabus of this course, in terms of the exams and so on, will be entirely contained in the class, the slides, the class notes. So this class notes that we'll present at during the lectures, the lab study manuals, and I may post some supplementary documents. So those collectively will form the syllabus of this course. And technically, you don't need to go outside of that. I mean, if you are just focused on your exams, I will not be asking you anything outside of the syllabus. But obviously, you should be reading the textbooks, and you should be expanding the sources of information regarding this subject. And so I will say that in terms of that, this Introduction to Communication Systems by Professor Madhav will be kind of very useful book that you should start reading. There's another nice book called Information Theory, Inference, and Learning Algorithms. This is by Professor David McKay. So these two are going to be heavily used throughout the semester. And the nice thing is that both of these are freely downloadable. So you should be able to do get a hold of these books right away. The third book is what is considered as the classic in the communication theory. The book by Professor John Proekes, Digital Communications. I have listed here 4th edition. Now the 5th edition is out also. So I would say that this is kind of the bedrock. The third book here is the bedrock of the communication systems. It is also very nicely written book, and it is very comprehensive book. So we will be making use of this book also. This is a classic book, meaning that this is the book that I also studied when I took this digital communication course many years back. And then the 4th book, Digital and Analog Communication Systems, is also a classic book. I also used this book when I was in my college. Both these books, well, I think this book by Couch may be available online. I'm not 100% sure. But at least this one, Digital Communication, is not available online. I mean, unless you use pirated version, which I would discourage you to use. Don't do that. You should be able to purchase this book from any online bookstore. I would say within 500 rupees or so. I don't know the exact cost, but I would say just get a hold of the hard copy of the book and start making use of it. And then in terms of software, we will be relying heavily on MATLAB. And then I would say that you should start getting your arms around this Python also. Especially you should download this Jupyter IPython notebook, and you will find that with this notebook of Python, MATLAB and Python have very similar user interface. And all of the programs that you should develop in MATLAB, you should try to get them also implemented on Python. I think that will give you a very nice experience in kind of, if you start becoming comfortable not only with MATLAB but also with Python by the end of this semester, then that in itself is something great that you would have taken out of this course. With Python, I think you would need to also make use of something called Numpy, which is the added facility, added library of Python, which makes it very similar to MATLAB. So Numpy is one thing, SciPyLab is another one, and then you will need to download Matplotlib, which will allow you to create some nice visualizations, some plots in Python. And if you download some bundled implementations of Python, all of them will come together. Anaconda is one of them, but you can use some other bundled Python packages. So, so what we will be doing throughout this semester, through this course, is that I will be setting some basic goalposts that you all should have to complete. Okay, so the basic is for everybody. Now, I will set up maybe an intermediate version and maybe even an advanced version, sometimes directly the advanced version. So basic will be supplemented by intermediate, sometimes even with advanced, sometimes only with advanced version. You can decide to opt out of doing those advanced or intermediate versions of, let us say, lab assignments or any other assignment that I give to you. But I would say I would strongly encourage you to set your goal higher and not just restrict yourself to doing just the basic part. Basic part will be enough, but if you do intermediate or advanced, you will take more out of the course. You will gain more out of the course, and you will learn more, and you will kind of you will take away significantly more from CT111 than if you just restrict yourself to basic part of it. So that way you would say that MATLAB is the basic part. Everybody will have to do MATLAB. Okay. Now, those of you who are more ambitious, who are more proactive, should also have a goal that each and every program that I write in MATLAB, I will convert to Python, right? So that would be at least intermediate, if not advanced version of it. Those of you who are even more ambitious should then also try to do the same program in C++. That would definitely be advanced. So you would think of MATLAB as basic, Python as intermediate, and C++ as advanced topics. If you do all three of them, then that will be excellent, really good. Okay, I thought that I will also mention some other nice references that occasionally you should try and get hold of and read. And so these textbooks are listed here. So that is it in terms of all the reference materials that I thought I would mention to you at the start of this course. I think this is something that I've already mentioned. Here in this course, you'll be doing a lot of programming exercises. I think all of your labs will mostly be focused on programming. There'll be some kind of analysis, some mathematical aspect to the labs, but otherwise it will be mostly implementing some programs. And as I said, the basic part that everybody will have to do will be this MATLAB, this programming. And so for that, what I suggest is today, as soon as possible, you should install MATLAB license on your computer. The nice thing about this college, which again, I did not have the luxury of when I was doing my undergraduate program at LD Engineering College, is to to get this MATLAB license. The reason I say it is a luxury is because MATLAB license is quite expensive and you probably won't be able to use it after you graduate out of this college. And so all the nice and cool things that you can do in MATLAB during these 4 years, you should get maximum mileage out of it. Now, MATLAB is very user-friendly. It's very easy to pick up. Some of you may have already started using MATLAB. Those of you who have not used MATLAB, I would say that after you install the MATLAB on your computer, you should do an introductory tutorial of MATLAB. And probably one of the best tutorials is what MathWorks, the company behind MATLAB, publishes. So that is something that you should do it on your own. And there are many other nice other tutorials developed by third parties. So you should take that help also. Okay, someone asked that will we have a dedicated session on MATLAB introduction? So yes, the very first lab that you will do on Monday, it will not be heavy duty on terms of the communication theory because we will not have obviously studied any of the communication theory concepts too much today. So your next Monday's lab, I'll be giving you an assignment in that lab, which will be centered around the communication concept, but it will be still mostly programming aspect of it. I do not expect you to understand the depth of the concept that you'll be programming. But after you go through, for example, this type of general tutorial, in this lab, in the first lab, you'll be implementing some specific programs. And again, there, apart from writing some MATLAB script, you'll be developing some visualizations. You'll be generating some plots, and some of you who are ambitious, you can even generate animations. And so that will be kind of taking MATLAB on your first test drive, so to speak. You'll be asked to solve some specific problems in MATLAB in the first lab. And that is the primary objective of that lab. And then after you do that lab, next week we will talk about what you have done, why it is significant in terms of communication theory. Okay, so let us see. Okay, the other important aspect of the course logistics is obviously the grading aspect. So, as you know, this semester the institute has decided to have only 2 exams. Typically, otherwise there are 3 exams. So these 2 exams will be held one, I think, almost a month from today, a month and a few weeks from today, and then there will be a final exam. So I'm thinking tentatively that the exams will carry a total of 40% weightage. The labs are going to be heavily important in this online mode. I think you will probably gain the most out of this course by doing the labs. The lectures are going to be introducing you to the topics. And then you will have to do some self-study, and then you will do the labs. And the labs is where you will actually get your feet wet and your hands dirty. And that is the part which gives you the biggest kind of, that is when the rubber will meet the road. Otherwise, you are kind of driving, like flying high up in the air. Unless you do it yourself, you don't know what it is like. You know, you are all at now an age where you can get a driving license. So the difference is between studying for the learner's license and then studying for the driving test. You know, when you do the theoretical study of driving a car, yeah, well, you understand the basics of what you need to do, but then until and unless you drive the car yourself, you don't get the feel for it. So the labs are where you get that experience. And the labs will culminate. They will eventually kind of the final, the grand finale of the labs will be this project. And that hopefully should be highly rewarding to you. The project will be still sort of like a lab, especially given that it might happen in this remote setting. But probably the main difference is that labs you will be doing on your own. But the project officially will be a group activity. You will be assigned a group, and then you will be doing the project as a part of a team. The weightage of all these items is subject to change. I may change the weighting depending on how the semester progresses. You know, this is the first semester that will be completely online, and I'll be learning how to do the grading properly, given that we may not come face to face at all. For all your submissions, your lab submissions and your project and your exams. Yes, by the way, for each lab, you will be required to prepare a report. And you will be officially submitting the lab report on Google Classroom. Same thing about project as well as exams. And this is the honor code that you should take and you should write on each and every submission at the beginning, in the front. Do not forget. This honor code is like the oath of honor that somebody takes when they go in the court and make a statement. Everything that I say is going to be truthful, right? So that is the idea behind taking this or writing this honor code. This is a very common thing that happens in the universities abroad. There, unlike DICT, there in some international universities, There is not only the honor code that the students take, but there is an honor code also. And if some students are considered to have violated honor code that they themselves would have signed and written, then their case goes to the honor court. And the honor court is made up by students like you. There is a judge, and then there is a jury, and then there is a lawyer, and so on. And obviously, there are some representatives from the college also there. And the student who is alleged to have violated the honor code makes his or her case that he is innocent, she is innocent. And then from the other side, maybe the teaching assistant or the instructor will make their case that no, that student was actually caught doing some fraudulent activity. And then if the student is found guilty, then there will be some really grave consequences that the court can hand out. One could be just expulsion, like the student will be removed from the college. What I say is that this honor code, consider it as your ethical boundary, and don't cross this boundary. Okay, so that is something that you should pay high importance to. So moving on, in terms of some general guidelines that I thought I will give to you at this in this lecture. So honor code is one thing, but I would say that apart from this course, from your education, your academics, in general, I would say the highest principle that anyone can have or anyone can benefit from is the principle of honesty and being truthful. You know, we all are right now in the land of Gandhiji, and Gandhiji became the father of the nation by following this principle of being truthful. He became the person of the century, not only person of the year, but person of the whole century, or the whole 100 years, because he was an extremely honest person. So writing the honor code and signing it is just the last part of it. It should rather be something more deeper, something more fundamental within you that you should commit yourself to. And you'll see what will happen is that a lot of things that will happen with you while you are in this college, but even more after you graduate. You know, in this course and in other courses that you will take at DICT, you will be taught some lessons, some concepts, and then you will be asked to take an exam, right? I mean, that is what happens in the study setting. But in the real life, sometimes the opposite will happen. You will be first taking a test, which you yourself know that you are taking the test. And then at the end of it, afterward, you will realize that you have been taught a lesson. And so one example is when you take the exam, whether you are honest, whether you have followed the herd, whether you have followed your friends and your classmates, and you have given into the temptation of cheating in the exam, versus whether you have stood your ground, and although maybe others are doing something unethical, you have said to yourself that nothing is more important to me than being honest. Honesty is the best policy. So that is actually kind of a higher level test that you will be taking. And if you come out ahead in this test, then you will always kind of be ahead of the others who are not still so motivated. Uh, because in the real life, there will be many such things that will happen. It is not that we are not given the lesson. In fact, there is a nice book. It's called Everything That I Needed to Learn. I learned in kindergarten. Do a search on that, and you will see that book. What that book says is that a lot of those this type of guiding principles we are already taught even when we are in kindergarten, or we already know about it. Even from a young age, we know that we should be honest and we should be truthful. And then there are many other such principles. We should be loving, we should be helpful, we should be kind of accommodative and so on, that we know are fundamentally right. But then we kind of get distracted by immediate temptations and we give in to our immediate temptations. But if we don't, then we kind of get favored by not our professor or our instructor or our college, but it is the force of the nature which starts liking us. And then the type of rewards that we will get um, will be far greater than what a professor can give to you. So yeah, maybe if you cheat in the exam, maybe you will get a little higher grade. But if you don't cheat, then the reward that you are reserving for yourself is potentially much, much higher. So I will give a very quick story on that, which I'm sure all of you have heard of. That there was one woodcutter. You know, in Gujarat, we call it kathiaro. And he was bathing, he was taking a bath in a river, and his axe, any kuhadi, he lost his kuhadi, his axe in that river, or maybe it was a lake or something. And then he was very upset. He came out of it and he was standing at the river banks. And then the goddess of that lake materialized out of thin air. And she said that, okay, I will lessen your disappointment. Try to find your axe. So she goes down in the lake and then comes up with a golden axe. He says, here, take this. So this woodcutter says, no, but this doesn't belong to me. So she goes down again, she takes a dip, comes out this time with a silver axe. The woodcutter says, no, this is not mine. And then finally, she comes back with the actual wooden axe that he had, and he says, yes, this is mine, and this is what I will have from you. And so the fairy is pleased by his honesty, and along with his actual axe, gives him both the silver and the golden axe. So this is a story that gives me goosebumps, even now that I say it many years later after I first heard it. So you should not be tempted by the immediate possibility of getting a golden outcome or a silver outcome. If that reward doesn't belong to you rightfully. If you insist that I will get the reward coming out of the exam room, only the reward that I deserve, and I will not artificially, fraudulently try to get a reward that doesn't belong to me, then this is what will happen. Some fairy somewhere will be pleased by you, and she will make sure that she will eventually give you the highest level of reward that you can get in the life. It may not happen immediately. In fact, immediately what may happen is that your classmates who have opted to cheat will get temporarily a bigger reward. But unless, I mean, those of you who are Gnostic, those who don't believe in God and in the law of karma and all that, Bhagavad Gita. I mean, if you are like that, if you don't believe in any of that, then yeah, there is nothing that anyone can tell you. But if you are Shraddharu, if you are faithful, then this is something that you should first believe in. You should have full faith in. That yes, by not cheating, I'm not going to get an artificial inflation of my grade point. But eventually, I'll be like that woodcutter. Okay, so this is something that I would say should take away from this lecture and maybe even this semester and maybe even your whole 4 years at this college. If you forget everything else, but if you remember this principle and if you follow it faithfully, then I think that will take you to places. It will be highly rewarding to you in long run. The other guideline that I would give to you is that you shouldn't waste your time, meaning that you shouldn't skip lectures or lab sessions. You should study regularly, not at the last moment. And also do not be influenced by rumors or by what your friends do and what they don't do. Because ultimately, after 4 years, your friends are not going to be with you. The immediate excitement that you may have is not going to be with you. What will help you is something that you have committed to yourself. If you have formed good habits, then that is what will be helping you as you graduate out of this college. And studying regularly is a great habit that you should cultivate. And then the third item that I would say is that you have to always apply yourself. You want to push yourself, not take it easy. You don't want to kind of sit back and relax. Although I know that you come out of this grinding 2 years of your high school, 11th and 12th grades, where you have studied very hard. And so you may think that, okay, now we are in college, we can take it easy. But maybe not, actually. Yeah, the pressure is not on you as much as it was in the 12th grade. You are already at the college, which is probably the best colleges of Gujarat. And you don't have to worry about admissions and so on anymore. But that doesn't mean that you take your foot off of the accelerator pedal. Okay, you should still keep on pushing yourself. And the one thing that I will say is that develop a habit of reading. I've given you so many textbooks, and I'll be giving you more such materials throughout the semester. So read them. Nowadays YouTube is there. If you don't like reading, at least watch YouTube videos on the topics that we study throughout this lecture sessions. But I would say YouTube shouldn't be the only thing that you refer to. Textbooks will actually contain greater variety and greater depth. And then solve the problems. This is something that you are very much familiar with. Those of you who have studied properly in your 12th standard and in your 11th standard, and I think that should be pretty much all of you, because that is how you got admitted here. You know that you were asked to solve. Your focus was on doing the practice. And there is something called 10,000 shot rule. So if you do anything 10,000 times, if you take a shot at something, if you're learning cricket, for example, if you take 10,000 shots as a batsman, then that is when you start becoming a good batsman. Okay, so do a lot of coding and don't restrict yourself to what is given in the lab manual. Go out of it. Do something on your own. And that way you will get a lot out of this course. A few other tips that after you think that you kind of understood a particular concept, you should then kind of charge it up. You should try to think of the same topic, same concept in some different light. So here also, well, this is an introductory lecture, so I will take some more time on this. So here also what I will say is that I'll give you a story. It's actually a funny thing that I was watching on TV one of the days. So this comedian was saying that, you know, the funny thing about Olympics or any athletic tournament is that, and he gave an example of 100-meter race. He said that, you know, the difference between somebody who becomes highly popular, he shoots to great fame, he becomes famous and he becomes rich and he becomes highly successful, and somebody who nobody has ever heard of. In the context of athletics and context of this type of tournaments, I'll show you my hand. Okay, he said the difference between somebody who is highly successful and somebody who is completely forgotten is this versus that. Okay, so what do you think he was talking about? Any idea? You can unmute yourself and quickly answer, and then
From the perspective which he was seeing that two persons.
sorry.
So the answer could be the perspective from which he was observing and comparing the two persons.
Okay, so what he was saying is that in 100 meters race, especially, you know, Usain Bolt is a famous personality, and in many of his races, I mean, some races he was like far ahead of his competition, but in some other races, the competition did give him a tough time. Usain Bolt or any other such race that you see at the finish line, what you will see is that the gold medalist is like this. The person who gets the silver medal is like that. And the person who gets the bronze medal is like that. There is a difference of a hundredth of a second. Right? So what this comedian was saying is that the way to beat the competition, or the way sometimes your competition will be almost equally good as you are. But whether you get selected at some really good company or not, and after getting selected, whether you get that next promotion is or not, is going to be whether you are putting that little extra effort. This versus this. What is the difference? The person who comes first, he has put at the very end, he managed to put this much more extra effort compared to somebody who got silver medal. And so he came out a hundredth of a second ahead. A very tiny difference. But that makes a whole lot of difference. This comedian was saying that this person is forgotten from the history books, and this person, his name is set in the history. So that extra effort is what this item number 1 is about. That after you understand the topic, do something more. Go that hundredth of a second ahead of what maybe the others are doing. And that is the way that you will come out ahead. And once you start doing that, what you will notice is that you will get in what is called the zone. So here I'll give you a story of Bill Gates. So when he was developing this programming language of BASIC, afterwards he has written that he will be working in front of his computer for like 15, 17 hours. He will even forget to take the meal, he will forget to sleep and all that, because he was so much engrossed in what he was doing. That is called the zone. And if you are in the zone, then you are probably the most fortunate person in the world. Very few people get in the zone. But those people are the happiest people in some sense. So while you are doing the labs, while you are developing project, if you find that you're forgetting to take a break for dinner or lunch, then that is something that your parents will be very unhappy with you, but you should be happy that, okay, this is something that I'm doing it right. The third thing that I want to emphasize is that do not underestimate yourself, okay? A lot of you will say that, you know, ये मेरे बस की बात नहीं है, ये जो है इसमें मैथ कॉन्सेप्ट्स इतने ज्यादा आ रहे हैं कि it is too much for me. And I am not that type of person. This concept, this topic is not my cup of tea. I will say that pick up any book by Swami Vivekananda. And after reading even first few pages of that book, come back and ask yourself whether you still feel that way. In fact, what you will see is that anything and everything that you find difficult and you find hard, if you apply yourself, you know, that was the last item on the previous page, suddenly it will become easy. If you have read Gandhiji's autobiography, and if you have not, then I will say that you should read that. It's one of the best books that you can ever read. He says that he was feeling intimidated by the math. And so he first started disliking math. But then when he got to Euclid's geometry, and when he understood those geometrical concepts, suddenly he felt that, no, this is not bad. This is actually quite nice. And then suddenly math became his favorite topic, favorite subject. The difference is, again, whether you yourself kind of close your hands and close your mind, close your fist and say that, no, this is too much. I am not going to be able to do it. Or you say that, no, I will do it. That is something entirely within you. It's a switch within you. And you should always keep that switch on. Okay. The fourth thing is that there's going to be a shift in the way that you have been studying. You know, in your 11th and 12th standards, you probably went to your school, probably took some tuition, some coaching class, and there they gave you some very focused training. They gave you maybe 500 practice problems for each chapter, and they would have given you some answers, and the instructor would actually walk you through the solution of all of those questions. And they would ask you to do practice based on a well-prepared material that they would have laid out in front of you. Now, increasingly, you should not expect that type of, maybe I'll say something strong, that type of spoon feeding. Now you have to kind of start doing things on your own. And the reason is because slowly but surely, you are going to start doing things which nobody else has done. In your PCM, the topics that you have studied is what others have already developed. From this time that you enter the college, you are slowly coming to the edge of the knowledge. There are many topics in communication systems, in signal processing, which nobody currently today knows how to do. And so if nobody has even reached that level of understanding, how can anybody prepare the manuals and the study materials that you got in your 12th standard? So you have to kind of take initiative yourself. You have to almost sometimes even come up with the problems and solve them rather than expecting others to do it for you. So that is another item. I think you have to be proactive. You should not expect that, okay, somebody will give me a problem and ask me to solve the problem. And if I don't solve it, somebody will walk me through the solution of the problem. More and more, you have to start doing that type of things yourself. And the last but the most tangible thing that I will tell you is that set a goal, okay, work toward a goal which is specific, which is measurable, meaning that whether you achieved the goal or not achieved the goal, it should be achievable, right? It should, like at Google, they call about this taking the moonshot. Well, yeah, it's a good thing. You should aim high. You should strive for something which seems impossible. But in reality, you shouldn't say that, okay, by the end of this semester, I'm going to do such amazing amount of work in communication theory and signal processing that by June of 2021, I will get PhD degree. Okay. Yeah, that is a goal, that is specific, that is measurable, but it is unlikely to be achievable. And it is probably not realistic also. So these are some of the specific aspects that you should look at. But regardless of it, set a goal for yourself. One thing that I will tell you is that this is a nice goal. That I will publish a paper with none other than IEEE. IEEE is the gold standard in not only communication, but the entire field of ICT, information technology, computational technology, computer systems, and communications. So if you publish a paper with IEEE, okay, first of all, IEEE will not let you publish a paper unless it is of this type, something that you are telling the world that it doesn't know. So you have to kind of develop your own novelty and then publish a paper. That is going to be amazing. I mean, if you do that, then you will be miles ahead of your competition. It will not be this versus this, but it will be like some of the Usain Bolt race where he left his competition way behind. And there, think about this. Do not underestimate yourself. Don't think that how can I publish a paper with IEEE when I'm so young, when I'm still in just the first year of college. I know few of your seniors, your 1 year ahead batch, who are actually very close to doing this. I gave them this challenge 1 year back, and they are doing something amazing right now. The good thing about setting a goal like this is that you are on level playing field. Somebody who is at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, somebody who is at Harvard, somebody who is at Stanford, somebody who is at NTU in Singapore, some of the best colleges in the world, they will also publish with IEEE. And so if you also publish with IEEE, there is no distinction between you and them. I will say that maybe today we will end here. Yeah, maybe we'll end here for today. Try to do this. Set a goal. Today, after we end at 9:45, in your notebook, you write this down. That this is my goal. I'll publish a paper on communication theory or on any other subject. But it has to be with IEEE. It shouldn't be with some random institute. And it should be measurable, and it should be timely. You should have a timeline that before the end of this year. Because otherwise what will happen is that the end of 2021, you'll say, okay, I couldn't do it. Now I will do it by end of 2022. And then 2023, and then it will never happen. So you should have this deadline, internal deadline, self-imposed deadline. In the December of 2021, I will not be there. The CT111 will be over. So it will be you and you only who will be driving you, who will be pushing you towards this goal, meeting this deadline. But yes, if you follow through this, follow up on this, then definitely get in touch with him. As I said, some of your seniors have done that. And I want to increase the number. I want to see more of you from this batch. Setting up this goal in a focused manner with full commitment and working toward it. Yeah, and don't think that you are too young to do that, okay? Albert Einstein, he wrote his paper when he was probably about the same age as you. Now you can say that I'm not Albert Einstein. Fine. Yeah, so I'm not asking you to take the moonshot. I'm not telling you that you publish a paper that will give you a PhD. But it will still be a great experience for you. Okay, so that is my main message for today. Okay, so I have invited the TAs of this course. I hope that they are here. So for the rest of 10 minutes or so that we have, I will ask them to take over, introduce themselves to you. Yeah, I mean, if you are a TA and you can just start speaking. Actually, I will stop sharing at this point. So you can maybe turn on your video, introduce yourself, say what are your research interests, what are the topics that you are currently working on. Give a brief introduction about you, and then that is how we will go through the round of introduction. I see Arushi is here. So Arushi, maybe you can start and then the other TAs can follow up.
Okay, sir.
Turn on your video also so that others can see you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well in the time of pandemic. So my name is Arushi. I am a PhD scholar working under Yashva Savra sir only, and I'm also working on a project which is also under sir. So my basic interests are in the wireless communication domain itself. I've been working on a project that actually that is an ISRO's project which I have been working on with sir under his guidance, and it is on also the it is also on the area on the wireless communication, basically working with different modes of how we receive the signals from satellite. What do we do at the receiver, the signal processing techniques at the receiver, so that we have been working on. And I'll be your teaching assistant TA throughout the semester. Thank you, and I hope you all will have a good learning experience. And I can also assure you that the learning experience from this particular subject is going to go a long way with you, and it will be helping you in the upcoming semesters of your BTech as well. So all the best for this new start of the journey, and we'll all will stick together for the whole semester. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arushi. That was the perfect introduction. So others can follow Arushi's lead and introduce themselves. Maybe you can go alphabetically.
Hello.
Yes, Ayush.
Yeah, so am I audible? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good morning. I am Ayush Patel and I am.
Turn on your video if possible.
Yeah, just a second, sir. Yeah, so am I visible?
Yes, yes. Perfect.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. I am Ayush Patel and I am currently in my BTech third year in DICT. So, yeah, I have also been on the same seat as you are in the CT111 bus just a couple of years back, and I'm a bit nostalgic right now, like I was just there. So yeah, currently I've been doing some research in the NoSQL databases, which is related to my coursework. So, and also regarding CT111, I had a great experience with Yash sir, because you know that this course is introduction to communication technology, and that will set the path right for you for the upcoming CT courses. Like every time you get into a CT course, you will remember, okay, yeah, this is what something I learned in CT111. So it's a great learning opportunity, and the labs as well are very much resourceful. I learned a lot through this, and I hope that you will too learn and enjoy. And yeah, I'm definitely there to guide you through if some answer as well. Thank you. That's it.
Well, thank you, Ayush. That was very nice. Okay, who is next?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vivek Aswani, and I'm a first year MTech ICT VLSI and Embedded System student at DICT. I actually, this is my first time in this college, so uh, I have had a very fruitful year in terms of education and knowledge, and I wa- ha- for my MTech thesis, I will work in microsensor fabrication for agricultural development. So yeah, that will be my research domain. Regarding this course, I will assist you in any manner possible and guide you throughout your labs. And I hope this DICT experience for all the 4 years is very fruitful for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vivek.
Hello everybody. My name is Abhishek Pandya, and I have completed my BE from MSU Baroda, and currently I am studying into MTech VLSI and Embedded System first year, and basically my research interest and thesis will be in the area of ASIC chip design, so entire ASIC chip design flow. And regarding to this communication theory course, basically this course, so I will try to assist you in every possible way, and we'll have a great experience learning this together. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Abhishek. So Vivek and Abhishek are doing their research in ASIC design, VLSI design. But you see, some of the concepts and some of the mathematics that you will study in this course, they actually get implemented on VLSI, on an FPGA. So some of the implementation specific aspects, like how the algorithms that make your smartphone work, how are they implemented inside the inside your smartphone, is the topic of their research. What is the concept of those algorithms? What is the mathematical idea that underlies those algorithms is something that we'll be studying in this course. So what Vivek and Abhishek are doing is kind of a nice, it's a conjunction with the content of this course. We will not be doing a lot of VLSI or FPGA in this course, but remember that every time you do something in MATLAB, it is quite likely that if you were in the industry, it would get implemented on a VLSI. Okay, so that is where their research topics kind of get aligned with the CT course. Okay, who is next?
Hello everyone. Good morning. My name is Naisargi Desai. I am MTech first year student in VLSI and Embedded System. I will be doing my research in microsensor fabrication for agriculture development. This is the first time I am taking this subject as a TA. So it will be a learning experience for both students and me. And I will try my best to help you in every possible way. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Naisargi.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes.
I'm visible, I guess. So,
Yes,
hello
yes.
guys. I'm Madhavendra Choksi. I'm from BTech third year. So, of course, first time as a TA, I've always seen the other side, like being a student. So, let's hope that we can bond very well, being students together. CT111 course, I remember before 2 years studying there, and the things are still the same here. Like I was in the lecture for last 20-30 minutes, and it was a very great experience, like a best gateway, I would say, to get into a subject. So this is the first time you guys are studying CT, and for now every consecutive year, every consecutive semester you will get CT subjects. So hope this gateway would be fruitful, and you guys would be helpful to you. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Madhav. Okay, anybody else is there from the TA side? Okay, so maybe not. So this is probably the time that we anyhow need to wrap up this lecture. So actually we have currently more than 10 TAs that will be working with you all. Maybe all of them are not here right now, but you will come to know them pretty soon. Your first lab session will be on Monday, and so you will hear from them that time. Actually, let me see. Maybe Monday's lab, I will kick off. I'll be there for maybe first few minutes. And then the TAs will take over. I'll be kind of available and I will be there on an as needed basis. But the primary instructors for you during the lab will be your TAs. Okay? So that is all for today. I'll see you again. We'll meet each other again next Monday. As I said, if you have any questions and concerns and comments, you should just post them on that. What do they call it? The
Google Classroom.
Streaming page of Google Classroom. I was trying to search for the word. I think Facebook calls it the wall or something, but yeah. So you just put it over there and we will respond to you, either I or the TS. Okay, so I'll see you next Monday then. Bye everyone.